movies for Black girl nerds.
Hey, welcome to BGM Podcast Live, the Black Girl Nerds Podcast. We're here. My name is Jamie, and I got Ryan here. Hey, Ryan.
Yeah, it's been a minute. What's going on?
First of all, happy belated birthday.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. A perfect way to do it by saying Black Panther, so I'm very excited.
I am very excited as well. As you guys know, one of the biggest, most talked about, most controversial films, I would say, of the year opened up this weekend. And of course, Black Girl Nerds, we have to talk about Black Panther Wakanda Forever. Yep. We have to unpack this movie. There are thoughts. There are conspiracy theories. There's been controversy. Whether you have a very polarizing opinion of the film, we'll go into all of that here on the podcast. And very excited. We've got some special guests, Ryan.
We do. Yeah, we got something for you guys. We got something.
We got a little something for you. So we're going to go into all of that. Before we bring in our guests, of course, always, I've got to let you guys know. I'm just switching up the, there we go. I like the bubbles better. Before we go into getting our guests on and introducing them, just some housekeeping stuff, of course. Follow us on the socials. They're down there, right there on the box.
Yep. You want to. You see them at the bottom. You want to.
We're all over social. Black Girl Nerds on Twitter, Instagram, and then on YouTube. We're streaming this in 3 different areas. We're streaming this on YouTube. Also, we're streaming this on Facebook and Twitch.tv. So follow us on Twitch. I know we haven't done a whole lot of content there, but trust me when I say we do plan on building some programming on Twitch. So if you haven't done so already, go to twitch.tv/Black Girl Nerds and follow us there. And of course, on YouTube, subscribe, hit the notification bell, do the things. Okay.
Hey, there it is.
There it is. Hey.
Subscribe. Do the thing. Do it right now. Click it. Don't even hesitate. Just do it right now.
Do it right now. Cool. So, of course, I'm sure all of you guys are here to talk about our pod or listen to what we have to say about Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. Also, you can chime in if you want on this live stream. And I believe the YouTubers and the Facebookers can go ahead and, leave your comments and we'll bring it up on the stream and we'll engage with you that way. But for now, let's bring in our guests. I'm going to bring them in one at a time and I'm going to have them tell you about who they are. Each of them have their own respective podcasts and audiences, and then we'll get on with the show. So our first contender, we'll bring up. Listen, he is no stranger to the Black Girl Nerds podcast. He has actually been a guest, and we have talked with him before. We got Mr. Akil here from the Bacchanal podcast. Hey,
how's it going? How's everybody? My name's Akil. As she said, I'm part of the Bacchanal podcast. I'm a scientist. I'm a comedian, podcaster. Do it all. I try to, at least. TikToker.
He does.
Multi-talented.
Follow him on TikTok, by the way.
Jack of all trades. Master of none.
He's got some funny TikToks. I'm just saying.
I do, man.
Yep,
I do.
Yep.
Cool. And then on our next guest, I should say, I was a guest on his podcast. So I'm glad to have him now on the Black Girl Nerds podcast. Welcome, Mr. Chris Furry from Blurred's Eye View to our show. Hey, Chris.
Hey, everybody. It's your man on the wall, Chris Fury, Blurred's Eye View. Check us out on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, all the socials. But much like Akil over here, I'm a little bit of everything. I'm a TikToker. I do a little voice work, a podcast, I host, I produce. I don't have a twin. I don't have a clone. Yes, I'm doing it all on my own. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm glad to be talking about the kingdom itself, Wakanda Forever, and I'm loving to get into this. This is gonna be fun.
Indeed, it will be. And our guest, last but certainly not least, He is actually new to Black Girl Nerds. I have never actually interviewed him. He's never interviewed me. We've never actually spoken via the live stream, but we have talked on Twitter. And I'm really excited to speak to D from FTO Nerd Talk. D, welcome to the show.
This is such a blast to be here. Like, I've been listening to your podcast for a while. I'm D of FTO Nerd Talk. Been doing this for probably about like 11 years now. Talk about like anime, TV shows, music, whatever floats my boat, I get into it. And like, this is talk about Wakanda and Black Panther. I'm probably gonna be the outlier because like me and the MCU don't get along too well. But you know what? I'm here to talk about the Black Panther. So let's do this. Let's do this.
I respect that.
Let us do this. So I want to start by asking each of you about your experience in the theater seeing Black Panther Wakanda Forever. It's always an experience for everyone that goes. So I'll go last, but starting with Brian and then Akil, D, and Chris. Tell me about your theater experience when you went to see the movie for the first time.
Oh man, just the feeling in there. And I feel like this is one of the rare times you see that many Black people just ready to go. They had all the sweatshirts on with Black Panther. I didn't see the traditional African guard like they did for the first one, but it was a lot of sweatshirts in there. And it was so quiet. When everything started, it was so quiet. Like you could cut the tension. Nobody was saying anything. They just wanted to see how it was going to start. And there were just certain moments where you heard a little bit of like, oh, okay. But then it got quiet again. It was like everybody was just taking in every moment of that was going on. And it was just a blast. You could tell everybody was just so into it and wanted to see what was next and wanted to catch all the Easter eggs.
Very nice. Very nice. How about you, Akil?
So I left the wife and kids at home. I wanted to enjoy it without any interruptions.
You left the kids at home?
Yeah, I left them at home. They asked too many questions. So
I see you.
I went.
Wow. Damn.
Kind of can't blame him at that.
Man, all right.
They'd be all right. So
Child abuse right there. That's child abuse.
Take them next weekend.
I went to the 8:00 show, and they had me. I had to sit beside the one white guy in the theater. They had me beside the one white guy. And
Oh, was he rooting for Martin Freeman? Was he rooting for Everett Ross?
he got excited. Like I know this. Like throughout the film, it's like. And then when Ross showed up, he was like, "Oh, me. Oh, my people.
I'm being represented."
Oh, me.
So yeah, like it was an interesting experience. So like before the movie started, he was asking me all these questions like, "Are you excited for the film? That's a cool shirt. Does that say Wakanda? Where'd you get that at? Oh, that's awesome. Oh, what do you think about this? What do you think about the Avatar trailer?" So I just eventually stopped answering his questions because I was like, I want this guy.
It's very like
But I had a good time. Other than that, it was a good time. But they definitely put me beside the one white guy in the film, and there was certain stuff that Namor was doing, and I could see the tension in his face. I was just like, "Ooh, he don't like this. All these drownings going on." Yeah, so it was interesting. Put it that way.
How were there crowds at your respective theaters? We'll get into that. Go ahead, D, you're next.
I went to a midnight showing at Lennon Square Mall. I'm not sure if you guys know where that is in
Atlanta.
in
Yeah.
ATL.
Hell yeah.
Full of Black people. Didn't see any white person inside of it, but there was someone snoring in the seat next to me.
What?
Yeah. So that was something. But it wasn't like completely crowded, but there were people like almost bumper to bumper inside there. But it was good. It was a good vibe. Like the theater went well. It was better than my Batman experience that like completely stopped the film mid through. So you know what? It's better than that.
Oh wow.
So yeah.
Yikes.
It was good. It was good.
All right. Chris?
There was a nice mix of people that was like in regular shirts or sweatshirts. I had a white hoodie with the Panther insignia on it. Me and my wife, and it was a nice mix of people who had like regular shirts that had Wakanda or the Black Panther on it, and a nice mix of people who had the traditional African garb. There was one family, beautiful. They looked amazing. Like they took up an entire row, and I was just like, yes, yes, show them and show out. That's the whole purpose of stuff like this. But yeah, I had an absolutely wonderful time, and it was you get the intro, you could hear a pin drop. You could hear a pin drop.
Yeah.
and they knew. They were just like, this is not the movie to clap when people are talking and something fun. You wait. You
Right.
wait.
Yep.
Yep.
Theater etiquette was on 10.
Yeah, it was.
Indeed. Well, my experience, I went to the premiere in Los Angeles, which was definitely a vibe. It was a little different, and please do not take this as me bragging. I'm not bragging by saying this.
She's
Humble brag. She went to the
humble
premiere.
brag. There it is. Humble brag.
But I went to the first film. I went to the premiere for the first film, and it was a little different because they had everybody in one theater. And for Wakanda Forever, they actually screened it in 2 theaters, which were right across from each other, the El Capitan Theater in LA and the Dolby Theater. And they put all of the, VIPs and the celebrities and all of the important folks in the Dolby, and then the rest of us, in El Capitan. So I felt some type of way about that because for the first film, it was a little bit of a vibe. Like we were all commingling, all of us were together. So you could turn around and see Don Cheadle, and turn around the other way and see Janelle Monáe walking down. Like it was cool. So, but that being said, I absolutely loved my experience. I would do it all over again. And just like you, Chris, when I was in the theater, when that opening sequence, that indelible sequence that we all know of with Marvel, when that started, you could hear a pin drop. And it's funny because right before that, somebody yelled out, "Wakanda Forever," and everybody cheered. And then the opening sequence happens and it's just all silence.
It's like
oh,
like read the room.
Yeah. So like everybody was all excited. All right, let's give it. And like, oh yeah, that's right. We got to get ready for this moment. So, but overall, like people were pretty subdued and calm, like during the screening. Nobody was sleeping that I'm aware of, but I don't think they were sleeping.
Past their bedtime.
Yeah.
Such a buzzkill. That was such a buzzkill.
But it was certainly a great experience. So okay, let's talk about this movie because again, so much to unpack. What first surprised you the most about Black Panther: Wakanda Forever? So anybody can jump in at this point.
Cool. I got a theory I wanted to share with you guys real quick. So, what was Killmonger's last words?
About the oceans.
Burying with my ancestors.
Yeah.
Something.
And burying okay. And then what was Namor doing?
In the oceans with the
Taking
ancestors.
those people to the ocean.
Right.
And that's where his ancestors. So there's a correlation to me with Killmonger's last words and basically the origin of Namor and the way he was killing people. He was using the siren method where he'll hypnotize them and drown them, basically make them walk the plank, similar to how the slaves were being murdered. But he was doing it through hypnosis, and he was doing it to a group of white people. So the guy beside me wasn't too happy about those scenes.
The one white guy.
But I like the quote. I'm not sure if it was intentional, but I was just like, "Yo, this is pretty good." Like to me, Namor, his personality is similar to extension of Killmonger as being a person for his people, but Namor was more calm and collective about it. To me, it felt like Nakia going there and doing what she did because she killed 2 people. I think the solution could have been a conversation, but with her taking 2 lives, his mindset at that time was an eye for eye because he was negotiating with them.
Yes.
He gave them a week. He said he'll come back in a week. He doesn't want people to know of his existence. And then Nakia shows up in there, guns blazing. I feel like if she was non-lethal with her approach, would have been a whole different movie.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed. I thought the same thing too. I will say my big takeaway was Queen Wamanda. Like she was like Angela Bassett was like the star of the show. Like she sold every scene. She was powerful. Like from the first time we saw her to the last time we saw her, it was like she was like the big takeaway for the whole film for me. She sold everything. That conference at the UN, that entire like play out, that it struck me. Like it is memorable for sure, hands down.
that scene in the UN was very much the mirror image from Reggie Hudlin's run on Black Panther when T'Chaka says literally that same speech verbatim. And I'm just like, whoo, I'm hearing your husband right now talking, and she wasn't wrong.
Not at all.
Angela, good Lord, steals it. She steals everything she was standing in, and she had it with such emotion and such grace. And her wardrobe, not just everybody's wardrobe, but
shout out to Ruthie Carter.
Good Lord. I was just like, I just said it out loud. My wife was sitting next to me. I'm like, she know I have a thing. I love Angela Bassett, but I'm like, her dress is beautiful. Yeah. That purple, royal purple look she had. But I think that besides that being a takeaway, I think the biggest takeaway that I wanted to know, and they handled it with such grace and poise, was the opening scene of having Shuri trying to save her brother. Because the question everyone had on their mind was, how are they going to address this? And they addressed it in such a way that everyone felt that exact same way when they found out that it was, colon cancer. It was just like, she did it when she found out. She said in the film, she found out it was almost too late. When we found out, it was really too late. It was like he told no one. So to see how that was addressed and played out, and I said, you know what? Kudos, Coogler and crew, because y'all really didn't oversaturate it, and you dealt with it in such a way that it really correlated with the audience and the viewers and the fans. So yeah, thank you. That I walked away proud off of that.
Yeah. And just to add to Angela Bassett again, because I just want to give her flowers. Ooh. I really hope that during these Oscar conversations that her name is mentioned, because she deserved it. She actually deserves it. And then adding to what you said, Akil, about Killmonger, because we see his appearance in the film, I was thinking it was the one part that I was a little critical about, because I was hoping that they were going to go with the story arc of the comics with Killmonger, because Killmonger gets resurrected by Madame Slay in the comics. So I thought they were going to go down that path instead of him sort of being the voice of reason in Shuri's consciousness. So I thought that was kind of an interesting take. But that's what surprised me, was Killmonger's appearance, and they going down that path. Why was Shuri envisioning him? So that was a little off to me.
That made sense to me, because you got to look at the movie has a lot of correlations with elements, like Wakanda is earth and fire, and then when you look at Talokan, that's water and wind based, because of Namor's ability to fly. So the fire could also symbolize the fire within her, the anger. That's why when she's in the spiritual realm, there's fire, because she's consumed by anger and rage. She's mad at herself for not healing her brother. She's mad that her brother kept his secret from her. She's also mad that she wasn't there to save her mom. So she's just surrounded. She's just fully consumed by rage and grief. That's why she has the same fire as Killmonger, who's completely consumed by grief and rage as well. Even her costume mirrors Killmonger's costume with the black and gold, because she realizes that she has a lot in common with her cousin, but she's not going to make the same mistakes as Killmonger and fully consume herself by that rage. She basically turns the other cheek, similar to Black Panther's portrayal in Civil War, when he finally got over the grief of losing his father.
Mm-hmm. And it's funny that he was the voice of reason to her, and however M'Baku was the voice of reason to her. It was just amazing. I'm like, wait, the both of you are not. And in no instance was in the first film the argument that Killmonger, Nakia, and Shuri and T'Challa had was all the same argument. It was just different approaches to the solution.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What surprised you, Ryan? Was there any moments that you were like, okay, I wasn't expecting this?
Oh yeah, definitely the Queen Ramonda, because I was riding for Angela Bassett. That took me in the theater. I was like, they did not just do that to me. Because I thought she was gonna go all the way through, and that one had my heart. And you know, when Killmonger showed up, I was identifying with Sherry in that moment because it was that anger. I cannot imagine him coming in. That's when I had a problem with Neymar then. Because at first I was following him, I was following his reason and everything, but I would be the one that would want to burn that city down the way he came in there and took my mom like that. That would be the rage I was feeling. So I identified with that being the person she saw. And the kid didn't have to, like you guys were saying, I agree. The kid didn't have to take that approach. If it was done differently, he would have had a different take to it. But it was the way he came back for me where I had a problem. And I was just like, yeah, I would have been the same way as her. How do you deal with that anger she's already feeling? And that line where she says, that is the last person that knew me well, and I just buried him, and my heart went with them. That line got me too when she said that one too. So yeah, that was the most shocking moment to me. I think everybody hid that so well, because I know people were trying to pull out spoilers after the premiere. You saw none of that coming. I was like, that one hit me in the theater when it happened.
Yeah. I was in the theater literally like, no, not now.
That was me. Yep, that was me. I could not take it. I was like, no, they didn't. I couldn't take it.
Somebody actually spoiled Queen Ramonda's death for me before the movie. Yeah, so I wasn't as shocked as everybody else because someone spoiled it for me. But yeah, I was still disappointed about that. But well, I mean, I'm curious. What is your take on Queen Ramonda's death? Because some people are really upset by that, and then other people say, well, it served. She served her purpose in the story.
I do think like it was necessary for Shiri to get to where she needed to go inside of all this, like, and the grief that we saw throughout that entire film, like it motivated everyone to be what we saw at the end of the film. And I think like Queen Ramonda's death, even though it felt forced a little bit, like I feel like it needed to happen. I just feel like it needed to be a part of it. It felt like a plot device. I'm not gonna deny that, but like I feel like it needed to happen for Shuri, like to get to where she needed to go, because her brother definitely didn't do it. Her whole city being attacked didn't do it. I think her mother death like was the last catalyst for her like to reach the step to becoming the Black Panther.
Well, my question is, did she even mourn her mom? Because it seems like she's still mourning T'Challa. Even all her rage and grief is still T'Challa based. So even at the end of the movie, she's completed the mourning of T'Challa, but now she has to come to the realization that her mom's gone. I don't think she came to that realization yet. She's just in go mode throughout the whole film, just kidnapped, this, that. She's just constantly in go mode. So I don't even think she fully mourned her mom, because she's still mourning her brother.
I think the relationship that she has with her mother is, even though it's strong, it's not nearly as strong. Like T'Challa has a strong relationship with his father. He has a strong relationship with his mother. Shuri is more, and even in comics, up until this point that it is in the comics, Shuri has always been a bit brash in some of her decisions. She's always been a little bit of the hothead. And to see her go to that level and to see, okay, this has happened, it's brought her into her own I think because of how everything played out in reality. This was probably the best course of action. I'd like to see, and we spoke about slightly before the show, Kevin Feige said he wants Coogler for a third film, and then there's talks of spinoffs. I'd like to see her address that, and to a degree, to say, okay, it's not the same as when it was their father. This is a little different. She's in this role now, not just as Black Panther, because she was burying herself in her science, in her lab. She was pulling a Reed Richards. So that's what she was doing. She was burying herself in her work to avoid it, and I think these talks that she was like, when Ramonda sat on the beach and they were alone and they were talking, and she was teaching her and walking with it and saying, this is what you need to do. You have to be with yourself, and I think she's learning that now, to be with herself. She's resolved it with her brother. Now she's going to have to learn to be with herself when it's concerning her mother, because the role that her mother played after T'Challa passed, after T'Chaka passed, she had to fill this role. It's not just Black Panther now. she's now Queen Regent.
Right. And Facts Over Fear brings up a good point that her dying sets up Shuri as the new queen and the new T'Challa prince as Black Panther, which we'll talk about that a little bit later, that post-credit scene. By the way, I completely forgot. This is a spoiler-filled podcast. I know. Whoops. So we're gonna assume all of you guys have seen it already, but if you haven't, you probably don't want to continue listening further. But yeah, this is spoilerific. All right, so the film right now is currently certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. So critics seem to have loved the film. Fans, I have seen a positive reception in my Facebook feed. There's been a couple of folks that have not liked it, and I talked to a friend of mine over the phone the other day. He was like, Jamie, I give it a D. So we had our little back and forth.
I don't even know you anymore.
Yeah, we're like, okay, we need to talk about this, bruh. So what do you think about how fans have received this film? What have been the takes that you've seen on either social media or friends that you've talked to?
I think the only thing I've received, because I've received nothing but positive. I think the most they were saying, a friend of the show, Candy B, one of the old co-hosts, she's actually said, we were spoiled with all of the lights. You know, she wanted a little more from the soundtrack. You know, and I'm like, yeah, I get what you're saying, and then also the tone. But I've received nothing but absolute positive, reception from the film as far as critics and as far as fans and close friends. I've heard stories of the other side not understanding. And I'm like, yeah, see, that's why you don't understand. This was a film that once again put Black and brown people in the forefront in so many ways. And once again, it leads that conversation. Well, this is why you have to have that talk. This is why you need to understand why that means so much. There's always been this constant conversation about Black and brown people in mainstream media in all forms of entertainment being brought into a positive light, whether it's fantasy, science fiction, horror, whatever the case may be. We're not seen as the slaves anymore. We're not seen as the pimps, the drug dealers, the pushers, the gangbangers. We're seen as kings, queens, princes, princesses. We're seen in these regal forms now. And this is one of those films. And so for me, I gave it a 9 because I like, I got to go for a third showing, that kind of break everything down. But it's a 9, and it's probably going to end as a 10 just because of how everything was played out. And you have to give grace where it matters, because once again, there was a situation where you had to create a whole film without your main star.
Right.
So you got to put that into play, and to see something like that and to see the story that you have set up now without that main star is in such a different way. And you're just like, Ryan Coogler, you're knocking it out the park right now. And you managed to give us a quality film once again. So
yeah, I want to also quickly address a comment here by one of our viewers. R. Flowitz Rivera says she absolutely adored it, but what about the pacing and editing of the narrative structure of the plot? And one of the main criticisms that I've seen from several people, even people that said that overall that they enjoyed the film, was that the pacing was slow and that the movie was too long. And
agreed.
I want to get your take on that. For me personally, it didn't bother me. I didn't think it was too long, and I actually enjoyed the pacing. But yeah, what's your take on that?
I thought the grief was like too overpowering for the entire film. I get like it was supposed to be. I understand that. I also think like, it was a reboot of the franchise itself, like with everything that they did with it. Again, I understand that it was supposed to be that. I called the first Black Panther like a redux of Captain America Winter Soldier, because it was the exact same story inside the film. But this here, it felt like not like any other MCU films I've seen before. Like it was definitely different than any other MCU film. I'll give it that, like, a full on credit. That's the most fair statement I can say about it. But the story was it's a little dry at times. The interaction with the characters, it didn't hit most times. It just felt like the characters were just there. Right. I feel like her acting was not as on point as it could have been. I feel like this role was a lot for her. Like, to be honest with you, like I get like I'm gonna get like some shade for that. I feel it. I know it's gonna like bubble up to me, but I feel like Wright was. I feel like this role was a little much for her. I just feel that, and like I know Namor was a good character, like he really was, but he felt like he was a bit childish, a bit brash. If you read the comic books, that's what he's like.
Yeah.
But he is calculated at the same time, and I didn't get that feel too much until like the very end of the movie. It was a lot of story dumping inside of it too, but it was a good movie. Like, I'm not going to deny that it was a good movie. I would watch it again. I want to see what the Easter eggs are inside of it. I want to like see the interaction with the other characters again. It's just like, if I had to give like a out of 5, it'll probably be a 3, to be honest with you. And I guess I just wanted more. I wanted more from it, but it's the MCU, so like, what can I really say? So
just to jump in here, would it be safe to say it was a different film because it wasn't really typically a Marvel film because of the nature of what happened with Chadwick? And because, in my review, I gave the title that this film was a love letter to Chadwick Boseman, which I think essentially that's what the vision was that Ryan, as well as Nate Moore, was trying to push with this film. So maybe that was the intention all along, that it really wasn't meant to be your typical Marvel film, that this was more just focusing on, going through and sort of pushing through, grieving over Chadwick and dealing with that aspect of the story. And then we'll pick up later in future films of what we typically see of a Marvel movie.
I do think that's the future. I will like wholeheartedly agree with that completely. I do think that is the future of this property, of this franchise. It's like, this is the new start, and they're going to go all feet running right after this. For sure.
I've taken a note with Phase 4. Phase 4 has caught a lot of slack, and what you don't understand.
Rough phase, boy.
Phase 4 has caught a lot of slack, and I'm an MCU fan. I'm a Marvel fan till the end. I'll take the good and the bad. And what I've come from it with the MCU is, at least with Phase 4, this was a time of introduction, growth, dealing with grief.
And Kevin Feige said that.
Yeah.
It's about.
I mean, if you to really take note of what's been going on in all these films and why you're not getting that level 10 of the Endgame, like we did it with Endgame, is because they're coming off of a major war. There was loss being dealt with. There were people that's being introduced now. There's things that's the passing of mantles are being due. So it's a whole new thing that's growing. And with that note alone, unfortunately, Wakanda Forever fell into that same boat. That wasn't the idea for it, but it fell down in that same boat because they had to work that out. Yeah. So I am okay with Phase 4. I have no problem with Phase 4.
Can I interject real quick? Because I had some gripes.
Yes, go ahead.
Sorry. The Midnight Angels felt like Power Rangers. The outfit, the whole everything. I was like, Mighty Morphing Midnight Angels.
I feel like it was too soon to bring in the Midnight Angels, didn't you think?
Agreed.
I agree.
I agree. The next movie.
They looked great. They looked like their comic counterpart. I agree completely. I just, I was like, I wasn't expecting them to be brought in that way.
Yeah. Like that. Riri Williams felt shoehorned in the film. I liked her, but I'm just like, why are you here? Namor's like, hey, I need to kill her. She's a scientist. And then he changes his mind. He's like, you know what? Kill everybody. I was like, okay, so what's the point of Riri being here other than setting up her Disney Plus show?
Agreed.
Okay, I have something to say to that. Continue.
Yeah, like minor plot points in this film was just kind of like them let's make sure we force this in here so we could, branch out into the Wakanda show, the Midnight Angel show, the Ironheart show. So just things like that kind of irked me in the film. The fact that Shuri's bands got bugged, the most advanced technology in the world. You're telling me Val bugged that? Val, aka the CIA Karen, Bug.
See,
Bug.
You did not just say
I did that. I called her Karen. CIA Karen. Bug.
This is why you should follow him on TikTok.
Yeah.
Bug these highly advanced bands
that
that
did
Sherry
make me
trade.
raise
That
an
makes
eyebrow.
that makes absolutely no sense. You're telling me they don't have no type of anti-defense that would deflect that bug on there? Like, come on now. That made no sense. Namor going after Riri Williams made no sense because there's going to be other people that are going to be looking for vibranium, but you want to just go after just her? Even he knew it made no sense. That's why he was like, you know what? I'm going to kill everybody at this point, all the surface dwellers. And every time he said surface dwellers, he was talking about colonizers.
Yeah, he really was.
He was talking about colonizers.
He really was talking about it. He was like, it's not you guys. Because he kept saying, he was like, Wakanda, by you opening your borders, you put eyes on us as well. If you had not done that, we here, because he really had no true beef with Wakanda. He had true beef with the American governments.
Exactly. So my issue is I didn't like seeing them fight. I was expecting, because in the beginning they're showing you France and all these countries. I was expecting Val and the CIA to be scheming, and while this war is happening, they're going to be trying to infiltrate both countries at the same time. Because I have a theory. General Ross is missing. You know that somebody else took his place. I believe Ross is now the president. We haven't seen the MCU president since Iron Man 3. So I think we have a new president since the snap, and I think General Ross is behind it, and he's slowly building the Thunderbolts with Val overseeing it. That's my theory.
Wow.
I could see Ross being involved with the Thunderbolts. He's probably the one that's picking the team. But with CIA Karen, good lord.
CIA Karen now.
I see her trying to run things because that's just her MO. That's her thing. She's like in the comics.
I thought she was pointless, to be honest.
But I felt the same way, Kill, about. I'm like, wait, you bugged the Kamoyo beast?
Yeah, well, how you bug that, Karen? Like, what technology?
It's almost like they wanted to put like an Amanda Waller type into the film. Like, there you go.
Yeah.
Jules who's driving. That's what it felt like.
I also felt like they threw her in there just to add as a thread because she's been in the other, films with Black Widow and then Falcon and Winter Soldier. And I don't know. I just feel like I didn't think she needed to be there.
I kept forgetting that Ross was married to her.
She was there for people like the guy sitting beside me to feel comfortable. All that black people.
Yeah.
For the white women that voted in Georgia. Yeah.
Like, there's just too many black people in this. We need a little bit more white.
Like Karen in there just to reassure him that it's okay.
Gotta get a Karen in there.
Yeah, get those Georgia voters happy.
I need to add this though about Riri Williams. I gotta defend my girl. I think that she was a great addition to this cast because she added a lot of levity to the story. She added a nice humorous tone to the movie, which the movie needed. Remember, in Black Panther, Shuri was sort of the comic relief of the film. And that role switched because she became more stoic, as she should be, because she's now grieving her brother and, dealing with all of this family turmoil. But Riri Williams offered a little bit of light and humor and funniness to the film that we really needed. And I liked it for that purpose. And yes, of course, Marvel is probably setting her up for her own series.
Yeah.
But then there's some Easter eggs that we're going to talk about too in relation to Riri as it relates to Kang. So I think that maybe we kind of needed Riri in this movie.
Yeah.
Jamie, did you realize that Riri, she goes to MIT, but also MJ in this MCU goes to MIT as well.
Exactly.
So there's a Spider-Man correlation there as well.
There you go. I would love to see that hookup, that connection.
Riri was definitely like the MCU comedy archetype for sure. Like she was nothing like our comic book counterpart. She was like in a comic book, she's very loner. You gotta feel that inside like inside this movie, but she's very kind of like flamboyant inside of this film, which I liked. It was a good change from like Eve Ewing's writing of her in her own series. But like it was a good take. I like watching Riri inside of this.
But I thought Riri, Okoye, and Shuri in that scene, I thought that was a Black Girl Magic moment at the college. I
It
love that
was.
scene.
Agreed.
I
Most
thought
That was
definitely.
that
like one of
was
my favorite scenes.
I was like, play this on a loop. Let me see it
Agreed.
again. I thought that was fantastic. Like her coming in trying to throw the boom
The
backs at her, and she just flashes. I'm like, where did Okoye come from? I thought that was fantastic. And she was talking about her bald head. She tried to cover up the tattoo and stuff. I thought that was
That's the first moment that we really got of Okoye being funny.
Yeah,
Not only
Yeah.
that, one of the first moments that somebody got the up end on the Koye, because
Yep,
we know
that too.
you
Yep,
don't
yep.
you don't disregard the Dora and not pay for it, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
And she let her
Koye
too,
been
which is really
divorced?
cool.
Like, what's going on with her and her husband? They say he living outside the borders. I was like, that's a divorce.
It's a divorce.
I mean, keep an eye on him out there. You know, what can you say? That's how you do the divorces in Wakanda. You know what I mean?
He's sleeping on the couch.
You tried to run me down with your rhino, and the rhino knew better.
He
not to
said
do
without
that.
question. So I mean, I don't know where he's supposed to go. I'm just saying he said without question that she would take him out. So
I was like, I don't think he's going yet, but he getting divorced. I was
Yeah,
like,
the rhino was probably like, "Yeah, I'm not going with you, Dad. I'm staying with Mama, because I wasn't about to run her down."
that part, Chris. Yep.
Right. There we go. There we go. All right. So thoughts about Namor. Namor. I guess it's Namor. I've always called him Namor.
I love his introduction. I love his introduction. I love the way that they finally have bring that Mayan culture, Mexican culture. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful how they did it. My thing is, when they finally bring Reed Richards into the fold, how is he going to feel about Sue? Because
he got to be black or Spanish.
Somebody put that on Facebook.
You got to make her black. You got to make Sue black. Period.
Like we all know that every time some BS go down between Reed and Sue, she uses it as a threat. Like, I'll just go here to get away. He's like, you know what? I'm ready to come out my lab now. You know, we can talk about whatever our problems are. But Namor, I think it's a beautiful. Once again, shout out to Ruth Carter. Just the fact that they are introducing other forms of vibranium, which I've known about because they have different forms, and to have him covered in it, this culture that's being involved, just is beautiful, you know. Absolutely. And I'm glad we getting somewhere. And he finally mentions it that he is a mutant.
Yes. Well, speaking of which, first of all, Johnny 7118 Bravo, thank you for the super chat. Really appreciate that. He says he gives this movie 8.5 out of 10. Also, is Namor a mutant?
Yes.
And to that, yes. Namor, by the way, used to be an Avenger, a member of the X-Men, and a member of the Illuminati.
He was an Avenger for like a week, though. He was wilding out.
Yeah,
he was all over the place. Yeah,
he was one of like the first comic book characters ever made. Like one of the first like archetype in the Marvel comic book. Like he preceded Aquaman, and like, you know, like the first of his own. I know he said like he was a mutant inside this film, but I feel like he's more of a mutate in this film and not like an actual, like, you know, X gene mutant.
Oh, like born with the gene type.
Like,
because he's mixed.
Yeah.
No, technically he is born with it.
I think he's more of a mutate more than a mutant, but like that's part of semantics talking. But that's me going on.
I disagree. I think he had the passive X gene, and his situation similar to how Blade. To me, I saw correlations with Blade with the mom being pregnant. And then her intaking the watered base verb. I think that just activated his passive X gene, kind of like with Kamala Khan. Those bands activated her passive X gene.
Okay, so, you know, I can see that. You got, I can see that. I can.
So,
and then it's the MCU, so they can always kind of
they can tweak it,
retcon,
tweak it just to make it make sense.
Retcon, multiverse it. They can do whatever they want with it. Question on Namor. I don't know. In the comics, I know that he and Sue Storm had a thing. Do you see that happening in the MCU?
Probably not to the degree that it is in the comics. Probably just enough for Reed to be like, I need to wife this woman up right now, so she won't. So she won't leave me. I think there's going to be something there where he's going to show an interest, but I don't see him being that level of like,
Okay.
I don't care if she's
They're probably not
married.
going to go into the weeds with that.
Yeah. I don't see
Because there was
them.
also a romance between Sue Storm and, well, kind of, sort of, T'Challa.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. So I see that kind of
I
happening.
don't know. Like he's over 400 years old, and as we saw, he's a very forward individual. Like I feel like the way he was written in this film, if they wanted him like to pursue Sue Storm, he's gonna kind of do what he wants to do. Imperious Rex. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Tony Bagel says the MCU is not the comics, so they can tweak the mutation and that Sue Richards thing a whole other way. That is true. But one thing that they did do that was canon, which a lot of people are in their feelings about, and I don't know why, but they were a little upset about the Ayo and Anika, little peck on the head there. And I'm like, but it's canon, World of Wakanda. They are in a same-sex relationship.
Exactly.
And I'm arguing with people on Facebook, and they're like, oh, Marvel's trying to be woke and Ryan's making this stuff up. I'm like, it's in the comics.
It's literally in the comics. It's always been.
What are you getting upset about? So
all the stuff I've read, they're pushing an agenda and
pushing
they're
the
trying
agenda.
to emasculate black men, killing all the black men.
Oh my God! That hurt me, man.
Yes, I love the fact that they're griping about it, and I'm like, they were saying about Shuri, and Queen Ramonda, and I'm like, you do realize that there is Queen Ramonda herself was an ex-door now, and Shuri, why as a daughter, why wouldn't you already having your son being trained, why wouldn't you train your daughter to fight as well? It's just not her forte. Science is her thing, but of course she's gonna know how to fight. She practically came close to fighting M'Baku in the first film.
Here's the thing though, like with Shuri's Black Panther for a day, right? She's Black Panther for about a day. She beats Namor. There's gonna be some turmoil when he goes back. Namora is already looking at him sideways.
Oh yeah.
What's the other guy's name?
Tuma.
Tuma.
Yeah.
Tuma plotting. Tuma's plotting.
Oh yeah, there's a huge antagonistic relationship between his character and
in the
comics.
So, yeah, Namor's gonna have his hands full for what he's doing. Like they're not gonna be happy when he goes back because
and Tuma and Namor they get into it.
They stay in it. They stay in it.
They stay in it. So
they stay in it.
Turmoil.
Yeah. So I hope that they go into that arc in the MCU. Like Tony said, they tend to change, but
I don't think they're gonna make Namor this on the line type of character. He's gonna eventually be on the hero side because in comics T'Challa can't stand him. Let's just put it out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
He's left him he's put a dagger in this man's chest and left him on an imploding planet just to say, like, you know what? I told him that they shouldn't have teamed me up with you. I was going to do this.
Stop saying Imperious Rex. I'm tired of hearing it.
I told them, but so him and Shuri literally cannot stand him, for so many reasons. And Johnny Storm, Ben Grimm, they can't stand him. They just deal with him. And I don't think they'll have him so much leaning that far over to the villain anti-hero type side. I think they want him over on the hero side. So I could see the whole dynamic between him, Namora, and Atuma kind of breaking down and just like, you know what? We need to break off. Atuma was always for the smoke. He didn't care.
Always.
He stayed with the every time he seen Okoye, he was just like, oh yeah, we going in. Let's do
straight this. Straight shonen vibes. Hardcore.
He was all for the smoke. I'm like, yo, this dude, he was like, y'all go back.
But that's why she needed the Midnight Angel, though. Like, he about broke her arm through off the bridge. I'm just saying, she needed an upgrade.
Well, here's the thing. Like, let's say I'm a farmer in Wakanda, and I see that only in the hierarchy of Wakanda, they get the heart-shaped herb. Namor comes in, everybody in his village getting the herb. I'm looking at you sideways, like, why won't you share the wealth? Everybody on this team getting the herb.
I agree with you that.
Farming. How come y'all ain't gonna share the wealth with me? So
you mad because you didn't get the Midnight Angel? That's what you're saying right now. You mad?
I'm saying that
he wanted variation of that herb.
Midnight herb.
He wants to have that purple herb. That's what
that purple herb, boy.
That purple.
Okay. I'm
Purple
confused.
haze, boy.
I'm confused. I was like, yo, my Hispanic brother over here handing it out to everybody like hotcakes.
You got that. You
Looks
got
like
that
I'm about
meme.
to get
You
me
got that
some
meme of
gills.
Will
I'm getting
Smith,
me
just
some
like
gills. They too stingy, man. They too stingy, man. Some crab in the barrel mentality. Only high prince blood can have it. You gotta have royal blood. Cat. I think that's cat, man. I just don't think they wanted to give it to the commoners.
they
Yeah,
probably didn't.
yeah. Well, I want to know what y'all's opinions are, and we're going to go a little controversial here with this question. There's obviously a lot of bad actors out there that don't like Wakanda Forever because it is a very female-centric film. We've got Shuri that's taking on the mantle as the Black Panther, and then we've got some notable female roles with Okoye and Nakia, and then we've bringing in Riri Williams, who is going to be our Ironheart. And, I've been talking to some people on Facebook. I don't even know why these people are my Facebook friends. But anyway, I need to stop indiscriminately accepting Facebook requests. But they don't want to even support the film because of this and calling it this is Woman King sequel and all of this stuff.
Oh, man. Tariq Nasheed going on over there.
Yeah.
Jesus.
And I wanted to know because and we've talked to E-Man, who is behind the recast T'Challa hashtag, who's actually a good actor in that, with making sure that he just wants to see Black male representation. But what do you think about that whole idea of the recast T'Challa movement and what people are saying about Black male representation? Is it under the guise of that, but really, there's some misogyny underneath? Or what are your opinions as we have 3 male panelists here
I'll jump in first
on our show?
Yeah, go ahead, Kill.
Yeah, let me jump in first. I'm for the recasting of T'Challa because I see characters like Iron Man, they got a 3-story arc before they handed down the mantle. He had 3 movies. Now Riri's taking over. Captain America, he had 3 movies. Now he's taking over the mantle. Thunderbolt Ross just died and he's been recast already. So come on, they can recast T'Challa. His brother even wants him to be recasted. I like what they did with the film. Throughout the film, it feels bittersweet because you're seeing these interactions with Namor and Shuri, and you're just thinking in the back of your head, man, Chadwick would have killed this part right here. These conversations would have been so epic with Chadwick being there. So there's a bittersweet feeling throughout the film, knowing that he's gone. This is not just for the movie. This is what happens in the movie parallels real life with what happened. But looking at the representation of Black women in STEM with characters like Shuri and Riri Williams, I look at my daughter, they need that representation. I can't be selfish and just think of me, 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 me. I didn't like what they did at the end. I didn't care for, hey, we got baby T'Challa, because it's a murky situation. What they could either do is that character is going to be a young Avenger and Shuri trains them and gets that kid up to speed to the point where he takes the mantle off of her back eventually, or they could always just bring in a variant of T'Challa once Kang shows in. But that makes what happened in this movie kind of murky. So I don't know what they're going to do in the future, but it's kind of up in the air, and they could go either way.
I was team recast, just not team recast now, because knowing how Hollywood works,
Right.
I'm like, yeah, you don't want to force an actor to learn Kosa and learn how to fight and then have to learn the language and the link and everything else. And then learn and Lord, let it not be someone who doesn't really know the backstory of Black Panther. That's a rush job. We've seen what rush jobs happen in Hollywood, and it destroys the film. I was saying, my initial thought was, I thought the film would have taken place the 5 years that he was gone.
Yep.
What happened in that gap. You're curious. That's 5 years. No King. What happened? So I was thinking in that terms. But then when Chadwick, when this whole thing was going down and there was no mention of it, and I didn't want to see if there was, I just wanted to be surprised. And I said, okay, you're not touching too much on the gap. Fine. As far as recasting, will it happen? Probably not right now. And I'm okay with that. And I'm okay with the women taking the helm. It's like behind every black man is a strong black woman. Like I don't have a problem with that. You know, if they've read any of the Black Panther comics, that's what he's surrounded with. You know, he has a strong mother. He has a strong warrior team on his back. You know, they just dissolved the Hattusaraze, which was like his kill team, and they turned out to be useless. So the women got it done, and there's no I don't have a problem with that. You know, when I see certain people online gripe about the women taking the helm and everything else, I always say, well, your misogyny is showing. This is there. You know, who wouldn't want these women backing them up? You know, Okoye, good Lord, that woman shows improve every time she's on the screen. You know, so I don't have an issue with that. You know, having baby T'Challa now, you know, I'm like, oh, this is their way of quote unquote putting it into play. Will it come into play later down the line? Who knows? Comics version, T'Challa was mortally wounded. Shuri took over the mantle. When he was well enough, he came back. She stepped down and she took a more prominent role on some other stuff. And that's how it is now. So I'm okay. At this point, I was more concerned about how they handled the legacy. And I feel like they handled it in a very quote unquote regal way without, you know, and I think whatever they have planned, I trust Feige. I definitely trust Coogler. You know, so, like I've watched plenty of Coogler films, and I'm just like, yeah, trust this guy. He's gonna give you something. You know, he's actually thinking about what's going on. He's thinking about how it's gonna reflect our community and everything else. So like what Akil was saying, when he had the one person on the side of him that was just like probably uncomfortable and shifting in the seat the entire film. You know, so it was just, that's not that film for you, unfortunately, unless you're a fan of that character. You know, I've seen what they did with Woman King. I've watched Woman King and loved it. You know, and to see the prominence of Black women in these roles, I want to see more of. We've seen it in Rings of Power. We've seen it in Woman King. We've seen it on House of Dragon. We're seeing that happen now, and it's like, okay, why are you so bothered by it? What is you're threatened by it? There's no agenda.
Yeah.
Like,
exactly.
There's no agenda. It's like you want that. You want that. You want to be in that action film where the male hero is kicking butt all throughout the film. He takes a mortal wound, may not be dead, takes a mortal wound, but the wife is the one that backs him up.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
exactly.
So you need that. We need that. We need y'all.
And I agree with you about waiting until later. Like they needed to take a breath. They needed to take a step back and just gracefully acknowledge who Chadwick was in this film. And they did it beautifully. And I thought job well done to Coogler and the team with Wakanda Forever.
I think that's a big part of it, though. But yeah,
go ahead, Dee.
I think that's the big part of it is that Chadwick Boseman left a tectonic shift on the whole planet. Like it wasn't just like in the film world. Everyone that you know all around the world talked about how Chadwick Boseman died, like and how that affected them. I think it's a little bit different than William Hurt passing away, and then you get Harrison Ford to replace him. It's a much different thing to that. I was never been like into a recasting T'Challa. Like I wanted to see this happen where Shuri becomes the Black Panther, and like and see like how, because if you read comic books, you know how she was as a Black Panther, and like it didn't disappoint me. Not really. Like it didn't disappoint me. Like I got to see like all the characters who were already predominantly like women in the first film, like take on that role that like they were ready to take on, and they did it. They executed it. They took over. They took on like the Atlanteans or Talokians, like as best they possibly could, and they won. They were victorious, and like that's what I wanted to see. Like, and again, it didn't disappoint me. Like I don't get why people are so angry, but like not having male representation. Like M'Baku, like laid it down for like all the men out there by himself in this whole film. So like, why people was like say something to get counter like towards like the women of this film is beyond me, because they destroyed it. They killed like everything they did in this film. I don't get the backlash for it.
I didn't like the kid T'Challa being in Haiti. Like I didn't understand like why he wouldn't be amongst family in the most secure place in the world, and to put him in Haiti. I understand the correlation with Haiti with the opening scene with France and them trying to basically colonize the Wakanda, and then with Haiti they were part of they had
The
a
revolution.
revolution against Haiti. I mean against France. So I understood that, but I didn't understand why she kept him away from the. It didn't make sense to me why they did that.
I think in the eyes of Nakia, knowing that what we've seen in the first film, T'Chaka had killing his brother, uh, this battle for the throne, this infighting. That's what it was. It was this infighting, and she, and then obviously her and T'Challa go off. He has this kid, and he knew about it, and Queen Ramonda knew about it. So it was just like we want to keep him away, like she said, from that pressure, and mind you, a war just literally broke out, so it was like let's keep him away from that pressure right now, like because the nation would be looking to him as, oh, he's going to be our next king, prince, and they would see him, and it was like he couldn't live his life as a child, and to learn, I mean, he knows his name, his mother is teaching him, but it's not that added pressure of being treated as the royalty and not being treated and raised as a child.
I feel like he probably has Wakandan spies like with eyes on them at all times. Probably.
Oh, I wouldn't doubt it.
I wouldn't doubt that.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Some Dora Milaje in the background.
That would be a foolish move.
Was that mid-credit scene satisfying to you guys? I mean, we know your opinion, Akil, about it, but Chris and D, I'll start with you, D, and Ryan as well. Ryan, let me start with you, Ryan. What did you think about that mid-credit scene?
Oh, I enjoyed it. I got a little teary-eyed myself because I didn't know how they were going to wrap it. I thought they were done. I thought they were just going to say, Shuri, what she's done in the comics, kind of work it out the Marvel way where they try to figure out how they're going to integrate. Because, they always do like Black Panther will be back. So you figure they're going to integrate it in different things coming forward. But I love the idea of this. A lot of people in the comments are putting baby T'Challa. I love the idea of having this little boy at the end, and he doesn't fully understand his legacy yet. So I get why he wasn't there, in Wakanda. He doesn't really fully understand what that means. And like you said, Chris, that added pressure of, having to follow his dad, what that would mean to take on that mantle. So I understood why he was a secret. And I just thought that was giving Shuri, when she was kind of wrapping up and kind of saying goodbye, I think they gave her a new welcome and sort of like a breath, like she can breathe a little bit, because I feel like everything was just kind of taken from her and everything was kind of hitting, and she had that moment where she kind of looks over and it's like, oh well, I still have somebody else, like this is still family. And Nakia always being her support system as well. And I just thought that was just a touching moment to kind of bring everybody, kind of bring it a little lighter, because there's so much sadness. She's burning what she had at the funeral. I think he gave you that light at the end of the film where you kind of take that and say, okay, this is the future. This is my little light for hope for the future, what this legacy is going to mean. So I really enjoyed that moment. I thought it was well played, because I always said when this film started, who wants the pressure of being called the next Black Panther? When you follow somebody just like Chadwick and, and what this represented, what that first film represented, who do you cast to say, I'm the next Black Panther? Like, who wants that kind of weight? I think they played it very well, and Shuri does it in the comic.
Very well
I'm
said.
just trying to figure out,
Very well
like, what
said.
actor wants that kind of pressure? That's a lot of pressure. Like, I wouldn't want to be that person. I'll be hiding. That is a lot of pressure.
And I saw that. I saw that in Wright's performance also. Like that was a lot of pressure, and like she didn't get hurt on set also. So like she needed that break from being hurt, because like as I said before, her performance felt like not as strong as it could have been. But like as you just said again, like that was a lot of pressure, like a lot. But that mid-credit scene, like it felt a little hokey. It did, like, but like Akil said, like they're probably setting up for the Young Avengers. That's probably like I know we're getting Patriot pretty soon from the Falcon Winter Soldier show. We got Miss Marvel. We could possibly maybe someday have Miles Morales in the MCU. You never know. It could happen. So like, having like the Young Avengers or the Champions show up, like, it could happen. But I think that's what they're possibly setting us up for. It's like the future.
We do. He's just animated. That's all.
There you go. Speaking of animated, like Dave Kaluuya is Spider-Punk now. So he's still like in the MCU family. So
he got kicked out of out of the border tribe, and he's gonna go to
Independent guitar.
Britain.
There you go.
go to England.
But do you think that this young T'Challa is going to end up becoming our adult T'Challa, like in the next film? Because that's what I got the sense of, that maybe they're trying to appease the recast T'Challa crowd by making sure that we do have a male Black Panther in part 3, and that they'll do a time jump.
I don't know if they'll do, because it's leaving so much open.
Right.
To do like a time jump. You know, I want more Shuri story. I want more of that. You know, I'm ready for that. And, you know, obviously I'm ready for later on down the line, you know, what happens down the line. Oh, Prince T'Challa Jr., I'm taking it over now, you know, for whatever reason they choose to use. I'm okay with what we got. You know, I don't want any. We've seen, once again, the rush jobs that happen from these nerd generated films, and when rush jobs come here, it turns out horrible. I would rather you take your time. You're kind of back on track now, because you've gotten past your major hurdle, which was the loss of Chadwick. You've gotten past the major hurdle. Let's continue with the story now. Shuri has the mantle. Let's continue that story. You have spinoffs. Let's take care of those, and we'll be fine. You know, for those who are watching and listening to the show, please give it time. Just give it time.
Patient.
Mhm.
Like,
Yes.
look, you don't. This is for the culture. We don't want rush jobs. We need time and patience. Let Coogler, if Coogler, please just sign the contract. Go ahead and do that third film or whatever else you're going to do, because we need that. We need somebody that represents the culture. We need somebody who knows it from that side of the fence. We need someone who can tell the story in the correct fashion and not destroy the entire thing, because we've seen it. We've seen Iron Man 3, the weakest of the films. It's the weakest of the films.
Phase 4.
That's the weakest of the film? Okay.
I was gonna say, not all MCU's film, but I mean the weakest of the Iron Man franchise. But we've seen, like, when you just keep feeding it, you peter out, and you don't have a strong finish. And it's very hard to do that strong finish with any genre of film when you start doing a franchise film. You know, that's really hard to do. You know, it's very rare that you get a sequel that does well. It's even rare to pull off a trilogy. You know, so let's just ride this out.
That's fair.
And I've said this before when we did our show, Ryan, with E-Man with the recast T'Challa discussion, that Marvel knows what they're doing.
Right. Yeah.
You know, I have 110% faith in Marvel that they know exactly how to map this out. They've probably got the other, films mapped out at this point. So I have complete faith that, the story is going to make sense. It's going to be consistent. And I was not disappointed in Wakanda Forever at all. And, my expectations were a little bit lower, thinking about what everybody was saying, all of the naysayers on the internet, which I'm ashamed of myself for admitting that, but that's really kind of what happened. And then the movie blew me away. But having said that, just for funsies, if you had the opportunity to cast a new actor as T'Challa, who would you cast?
Ooh.
John Boyega.
Ooh, Samuel Jackson ain't gonna like that. I'm gonna like that one.
Fury is British, so he better get over it.
He's in my list, but there are so many young Black actors now that are just really actually showing their chops that I'm just like, it's kind of a toss-up. Disney, y'all got to do right by Boyega if that's the case, because y'all didn't give us a proper send-off with that man.
Y'all did him dirty a little bit.
And he's holding that, and I don't blame him. So
yeah.
Trayvon Rhodes, period.
Ooh, okay.
I've heard
Mason
I've heard John Washington before. He was actually mentioned before, very at the beginning.
Like after Moonlight, like like he stole it for me. Like after Moonlight, Trayvon Rose.
Yes,
period.
KC says that's Damson Idris.
Yeah,
think Damson Idris
he'll be a good Black Panther as well.
He's massively.
He's got a nice young look,
Mhm.
and that's whoever plays T'Challa has to kind of look young, because we got to age him in for other future movies to come. So yeah.
One thing I wanted to add real quick, I don't think Sherry's going to keep the mantle for long.
No.
Because if you look at the beginning, she's praying the boss and, everything doesn't go through. And her character arc is basically her losing her religion and then her getting it back. And later on in the comic, she fully embraces that and she kind of becomes like a shaman.
Yeah, she's a griot now.
I feel like while she goes through that transition, she's going to hand the mantle down to somebody else because she kind of reluctantly took on the mantle of Black Panther. She's never really like happy being Black Panther. It's one of those situations where she just has to step up and handle business. So I feel like maybe in the next film, she's going to be either training somebody or in the process of transitioning somebody else to take over that mantle so she can become the shaman.
I agree with that. Tony, you're talking about Yalan Noel.
That's okay. Okay.
I'm just concerned about his acting range. I haven't seen him in much, so I'm just curious outside of Insecure. And
if Blade falls through, he could be a decent Blade. I don't know what's going on with Blade.
Yeah.
It's on hold right now.
It's on hold.
It's on hold.
We're looking for a director right now, so I'm concerned. I mean, this did happen with Doctor Strange in the Multiverse because Scott Derrickson was slated to direct, and then that went over to Sam Raimi. So,
which was a nice.
I don't know. Some
Edgar
people don't like Doctor Strange. I liked it, but some people think it was.
I liked it because I like Sam Raimi horror. If you call him horror, I like Sam Raimi horror, but
Sam Raimi's goofy. You never grow on Sam Raimi. He's always goofy.
It doesn't necessarily mean the movie's going to be bad, but I don't know if Doctor Strange 2 is a good example because there's very polarizing opinions on that movie. Yeah. But
Edgar Wright was going to do Ant-Man, like he fell out of that too. So
there you go.
Yeah,
Ant-Man was good.
Besides, with Sam Raimi, you're always going to get an appearance from Bruce at some point, and I'm glad we did. So that helps. Pizza Papa, why not?
Yeah. And then I wanted Yahya, but that's not happening since he's going to be Wonder Man.
Yeah, I don't want him as Wonder Man. He's too good.
Too good. Agree. They should have kept him as Black Panther. Like too good.
Too good for Wonder Man.
Too good. I agree with you.
I don't know much about Wonder Man to even add to that.
I think the version of Wonder Man we may get might be more of a CGI and voice thing. I don't know if we're going to get the full physical Wonder Man just yet. I don't know. I'm just
is it animated?
No. He has ionic energy, so he's like for a while he's not corporal. He doesn't have a corporal form. So and then he has a very jaded history. I would have liked Nathan Fillion personally.
Is he going to be going after Scarlet Witch though? Like we're going to see
that's what I want to
running down a white woman? I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know about that one.
The stuff you've been saying today, man. I thought your TikToks prepared me for this. They did not.
No.
They did not.
Oh God.
Because I already know the comments, but there they go again. There they go, chasing them.
All
those Dr. Umar gifts.
Dr.
Umar.
God,
we got to stay strong, brothers.
Look at David Mayo, murder.
Oh my goodness.
They mad that Storm isn't even in the Black Panther universe. They're like, we want Storm. I'm like,
hey, look, just wait.
It's
give us the right Storm.
And honestly, this might get me canceled. Wasn't a big fan of the Reginald Hudlin run of Storm and Black Panther. I feel like that marriage
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah,
I get so much slander for saying that. All like they did not like each other at all.
Let's put two black folks together and let's
think it was
comics.
They did not like each other. They just
I was for them, but the way they played the marriage, I didn't like.
Yeah, it was a marketing ploy, really.
Like T'Challa was an elitist. and Storm was like a hardcore activist. Like they did not work together. Period.
And now she's a queen regent, which she doesn't even like being called a queen regent, but over on Krakoa. So it's like he's an emperor and she's a queen on a planet, so
I want to see her be great in the X-Men universe, leading the X-Men. Let's do that.
Just give us a proper Storm right now. That's all I'm concerned about at this point.
I heard there's a Weather Witch project. That's the code name, Weather Witch.
Oh, they're really hiding that then, aren't they?
That's just what I've been hearing on the streets.
I will say though, like with you guys talking about how Marvel has plans and all that stuff. Like, you guys are the big MCU people. I will say, while I am not a big DCEU fan, like they are trying to make some things happen, and all this pressure they're putting on MCU, I do think things are going to be changing a lot real soon. We were talking about like getting the mutants in 2025. I think it'll be a lot sooner than that with the X-Men showing up pretty soon, and like that Weather Witch project you're talking about, we may be getting that a lot sooner than we thought we were. Also, like I do think that the DC is shaping some things up and making us look at the MCU a little bit differently. That's just my 2 cents on this.
Well, thanks to James Gunn. So I mean,
James Gunn is the only one that's holding it together.
Yeah. They had got James Gunn, boy, pour it out.
Yeah.
There's one thing
is James Gunn basically going to be the Kevin Feige of DCEU?
I wouldn't doubt it.
That's what I think. Yeah,
he likes obscure characters too, so I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, nobody thought that Peacemaker would be the hit that it is.
Yeah, seriously.
So. Like nobody was caring about that prior to this, so
sorry to go off track. And like I didn't mean to turn into a James Gunn conversation. He's all right, I guess. Yeah.
I would like. I'm reading the comment, and I would like to see if they will ever have a White Wolf introduction. I mean, the proper White Wolf, not the Bucky White Wolf.
Yeah,
that would be something interesting. I always wondered about that.
Hell, I was thinking like during the movie, like I was seeing what was going on to Namor and his family with the colonizers, and I was thinking, weren't the Internals there watching that happen and do nothing about it?
Oh, they didn't do nothing about the.
They showed that in the
celestial in the middle of the Arctic Ocean. So
yeah, they ain't worry about it.
It gets me so mad.
And Tony, you're right. There have been other actors that have played dual roles in MCU. So Yaya could be T'Challa. Yeah. I'm for it. Look, if they cast Yaya, I will be a happy woman over here.
I can't wait to see the shirt, Jamie. I'm ready to see that shirt. I'm ready, like Yaya Black Panther. I'm ready for it.
Yes. So someone in the comments asked about Easter eggs, and Akil, before we did our broadcast, you had mentioned an Easter egg that you saw in the film that relates to Ant-Man Quantumania that's going to be in Phase 5 coming out. So what is the Easter egg that you saw?
One of the Easter eggs is when Anderson Cooper is talking, they show there's like a little panel at the bottom saying that Scott Lang's on the tour right now promoting his book, because they mentioned in Ms. Marvel that he had the podcast. I think it's like Small Guy, Big World or something like that. So
which needs to be a podcast.
Yeah, they're doing these little sprinkles for that. And I have a theory. I was doing some research and some digging, and there's some theories that there was like not an intergalactical war, but like a multiversal war that happened, prior to our civilization, and the spaceships that were damaged, they crashed to Earth, and they had vibranium, and one hit Wakanda, and the one allegedly hit where Namor's people are from, because that specific location that they chose is the same location where allegedly the meteor that hit the dinosaurs for extinction,
the Savage Land.
It's that same exact location. So people are feeling that there's going to be ties to the multiversal war with the vibranium, and I feel like Kang is going to want to get his hands on the vibranium, and that's what's going to bring him to Wakanda, and it's also going to bring him to Namor's doorstep as well. So it's all going to be connected, allegedly, that way.
Which movie think it's going to be? Like the Kang Dynasty or the Secret Wars? Which movie think it's going to be in?
I don't know, man. Maybe Kang Dynasty, I'm believing.
All right.
What's going to happen then?
my thing with Ant-Man is I need to know where the hell is Luis. I want Luis to recap everything that's been happening up until this point. Like, I want him to say, and then I disappeared, and then I came back, and I want to hear him recap the entire MCU up until the point he's here. I'm like, y'all just crapped on my man Luis. That's horrible. The Easter egg I came across, and it was a Chadwick tribute. The scene where Ross is rescued by Okoye. If you look at the license plate on the truck, it says CB 112976, which is Chadwick Boseman's birthday.
Oh, I did not catch that.
Yeah. It's actually his birthday. It's 112976. I'm like, I know there's a reason why I watch camera shots, and I'm like, you're kind of focused on the license plate a little too prominent, especially like with Disney Plus shows when they keep throwing that QR code up, and I'm like, look in the background, just look in the background, look for stuff. So yeah, I thought that was really cool. They're really good at making their Easter eggs. I guess you can call them hidden to a certain degree, but it's going to take another viewing for me to see what else they got, because I like what Akil was saying, and I could see that happening. Yep, Riri shooting to the sky, passing out. Yeah. So there's a lot to take away from the film. There's really a lot to take away from the film, and the Easter eggs, the introduction of the Midnight Angels. Thank you. Shout out to Ruth Carter, because those costumes
They were great.
Yeah, they were gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous.
Well, someone said they didn't like the costumes.
What?
Who was it?
What's that?
D, it was you, D. You said you didn't like
no. I said the not this movie, but the previous movie. The costumes were incredible.
Oh, okay.
Like, the costumes were absolutely amazing. Like,
I thought somebody said they looked like the Power Rangers or something like that.
Oh, that's
no.
Oh, that was a kill.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, D. I'm so sorry.
He's gonna let you know too. He's gonna let you just like, yeah, he just fell right under.
You was just put your foot on that gas, put on that bus, didn't you? I seen you, Akil. I seen you.
I didn't like the CGI of the costumes when they're flying and stuff. It was like Go Power Ranger, Go, what's it called? Midnight Angels. That's what I was saying in the theater. Go Midnight Angels. They're flying. I was just like, a little cartoony, but it was canon.
She didn't like it either. Like Okoye didn't like it.
Yeah, Okoye was like they're ugly. She was like, do they keep getting uglier every time I see them?
You're not alone.
The scene on the beach is very reminiscent in the comics to where Shuri faces over with Namor, and like it's a balls to the wall battle. Like he gets away, but that I was just like, yeah, this is brutal for her, because she's striking out in anger. Just and I was just like, Killmonger ain't wrong, really,
Yeah.
But there's that small button, as you see when she's getting ready to give him that killing blow. She has visions of her mother.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, that's what you were missing. Was you need to find that balance. You need to have that time where you're just gonna tear somebody up, but then you still need to have that balance of being noble.
Yeah.
And she's finding that. I still wouldn't have forgiven him more though.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say that.
Lock him. You may not kill him, but
Yeah.
lock him up.
Yeah, I was just ready to get. I would not have rolled back on the ship with him. I was like, yeah, that's a no. I was like, yeah, I'm not for that. I was like, that's a no.
Like, y'all right. I'm like, you still don't want to.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
Asteroid M, here you come.
He plotting too much for me. He's plotting, playing too much for me.
Oh, he's plotting now. He's plotting.
Yeah, he's plotting now. Yeah, I can't do it. That's a no.
He's telling them more. He's telling them more. He was like, they're gonna turn us. I'm like, I knew you were plotting. That's I can't trust you.
Yep.
The scheming.
Over there, like he drawn on the wall, limping.
Right. This is some good shade. I like this.
Did you guys see the Easter egg with the challenging spear and shield that Chadwick had? They had that at the funeral when he was being ascended back into the sky, because that's reminiscent of the first Black Panther, the opening scene where he drops down. Instead of dropping down, he's getting pulled up now because he could rest. That's why the spear and the shield are being retired, because his fighting is done now. It's time for him to rest.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, last question for all of you guys. What do you hope to see in the next Black Panther sequel? I think some of us have touched on it a little bit, but kind of expand on, what do you hope to see next in terms of character or storylines?
For that guy that sat next to Kill in the theater, more blackness.
just take out Martin Freeman.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, he's the only one that's invited to the cookout at this point, because he was just like, look, I'm not even turning them in. I do like Martin Freeman's role as Ross.
I love him.
I really like his role as Ross. It shows that he's very much an ally to Wakanda. He was like, it's more than just that they saved my life. He was like, these people mean well, and what y'all doing. So he was just like, he was like, so what am I looking forward to? I'm just looking forward to it. Not so much, maybe Doom. I don't know.
Yeah, a lot of people wanted to see Doom in this.
Yeah, maybe some Doom at this point. I don't know if it's too soon. I think I would probably see him more towards FF anyway. I would rather see.
That's what I was wondering. Would he be better served in a Fantastic Four?
Yeah, because he's their antagonist. So I get that this whole thing with Namor and Shuri is tied into Doom War, but I don't know. Maybe the introduction of Hunter. Who knows? Who is White Wolf in the comics? And I am kind of. I do kind of wish they kind of addressed like Sam and Bucky sending condolences or holograms or something. They're like, yeah.
But maybe we'll get that in the next Avengers film.
I hope so. So.
I definitely wanted to see Madam Slay.
Yes.
Period. Period. I want to see Madam. I want to see Madam Slay. Yeah,
she should have been nice.
When I saw Killmonger and no Madam Slay, I was like, "Why'd y'all do that?"
Y'all had Michaela Cole. It was right there.
She was right there.
Like could have just killed it, like right there. So I hope she's in it. Like since we got to see Killmonger in the second film, like I hope we get to see Madam Slay in the third film. And if not that, go the Galactic route. Show us like maybe some Silver Surfer. Show some more like galactic being, like bring the Nova Corps back and like how to be introduced to Wakanda, since like they are probably the only force on Earth who could take on the Nova Corps. So like like go, if you can't go Madam Slay, go Galactic. That's my only thing I want to see for the next film.
I'm with D with the Madam Slay thing.
Hell yeah.
There's more culture and more mythos in the Black Panther line that some of these people are still around. Like I really would. My biggest hang up with the first film was they got rid of Claw too early.
Exactly. He's like a huge antagonist to T'Challa. I was like, he's dead?
I'm like, it's Andy Serkis. It's like, it's Andy Serkis. I'm like,
Andy Serkis.
He killed it too. Yeah, he's really good at Claw. He's really good at Claw.
Yeah.
That was my only hang up. I'm like, God, I want more Claw, and they didn't. They took him out too quick. Too
quick. Yeah, agreed. And by the way, I just want to see a Black female villain, and we get that with Madam Slay.
Yeah.
So, Akil, what about you?
I'm gonna piggyback on the Madam Slay. I did want to see Madam Slay as well. I want them to dive more into the necromancy aspect of Black Panther. They never really touched upon that. The most they do is, go into the spirit realm. I wanted to see him like gather the powers of all the Black Panthers previous to him, like he does in the comics. With the future, we gotta see what they do with this young T'Challa. We gotta see what they do with T'Challa Jr. Is it going to be a passing of the mantle with Shuri training him? Is Shuri going to transition into the shaman role, or is she going to just continue to be Black Panther? White Tiger, I like to see that. And Killmonger's resurrection. Are they going to resurrect him, or are we going to get a Killmonger variant? Because he's not going nowhere. Michael B. Jordan wants the Marvel checks. Okay.
The baby package,
and the fans love him.
I mean, yes, we do. Yes, we
Yeah.
absolutely
Yeah.
do. So
And
Uh,
Marvel knows that,
yeah.
so they're like, "Yeah, we want those butts and seats." So
Yeah,
we're gonna
the
keep
piggyback off of Kill. When I'm so glad that they mentioned Bashenga in this film. And when you mentioned the ancestral world, I'm like, can we see Bashenga?
Mhm.
Can we see those? Can we see these? There's like 3 past queens who were Black Panthers. Can we see them? Like, are they gotta be there? So
Yeah.
it'd be nice.
Bernice brings up a good point. Why would Shuri train him when his mom is Nakia?
Hey,
I mean, that's
it's
She's a
true.
war dog.
Oh, she's a war dog. Yeah, it's true.
The kid like to kill people too much, man. Sloppy.
I mean, that's her MO in the book. She's actually an enemy in the book, but
Yeah, she's
they were just like, how can we transfer make her a war dog? That works. Yeah.
Yeah, she becomes Malice later
Yeah.
on. Yeah.
Mhm.
I wonder if they'll do that in the third movie.
Oh.
That would be interesting.
Ooh.
her most trusted ally and now her enemy.
Yeah. What about you, Ryan?
Yeah, more. I want to see more Shuri. Like, she does so many technical advances. When she steps into that mantle, even though she doesn't really want it, she is kind of having to advance the society. I mean, she's there. I mean, she's got the mantle. That's part of her family. So she does a lot of things in the comics that I think transform Wakanda. That'll be cool to see. I don't know how long they're gonna stay with it, but that'll be cool to see. And baby T'Challa, if he's the future, who they maybe cast to go into that. Like if they do skip a couple years just to see what's gonna happen with that. The Dora Milaje, I always want to know more. I mean, they do kind of come in and you kind of see them work in more, but I want to know, like, everybody's talk about Anika, and them not liking the scene and all that kind of stuff. But I want to know more. Like, I'm glad Ayo was in this. She's in the other Avengers, and they don't really show her a lot in some of the Black Panther world until now. So I kind of want to know more about them a little bit more, how they're kind of feed them into the world. Yeah, because they have a lot to do in the comics too, and they show them in their, in the camps and stuff when they're kind of working out and everything. So I kind of wonder if they're going to add that going into the films more about their world. So shout out. I think Dominique Thorne did a great job as Ironheart. I can't wait to see her one thing Marvel does is the casting. Man, the casting is insane. When she popped on the screen, I was like, okay, that's Ironheart. When you see her in the suit, her working in the workshop with Suri, I can't wait. I cannot wait to see how. And she has that spunk where she's like, she'll tell you off a little bit, then she's building something, and then she's going right back. She has that twofold personality, and she's very energetic. So I can't wait to see how they turn that up a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely.
The fact that
go
ahead. They mentioned like her father Demetrius inside of it also. If you read the comic books, he's like a hardcore bad guy. Like,
seriously,
he got screwed over by the American society, and he just hates America so much. And like the fact that she's like a hardcore superhero now, like
the dynamic is there.
So
dude, I'm so ready for the show, man. So ready.
And I also hope in the third film, because we haven't talked about him a whole lot, and that's probably because he hasn't been in the film a whole lot, is M'Baku. Like, I really hope we see a lot more of his character fleshed out. I understand why he was sidelined a little bit. I feel like they probably needed to make more room for the other stories that they were telling in this film. And as long as it was, it probably would have been even longer if they tried to flesh out M'Baku, but I hope we get a little bit more of him. And
I did like, there's several scenes he's done and I like, but the scene when Shuri comes back as Black Panther and they literally do the Mac and Dylan, you son of a bitch handshake. That's what that was. That's what that was. And I scoffed a little bit. I laughed a little bit because all I thought about was Arnold Schwarzenegger and Carl Weathers in Predator. I was like, oh wow. That's all I thought about, that handshake. But when Namor punches him, and I'm like, not this dude, not him. I was like, oh good, he just knocked the wind out of him. Okay, he's fine.
Yeah.
But he did offer, he was a voice of reason. He was a voice of reason, amazingly, and with his size and his depth, and he was like, yeah, y'all gonna hear me. Y'all gonna hear me.
Right. But are we ever gonna get the man-ape version of M'Baku? That's what
the what version?
The man-ape version.
Yes, man-ape.
Oh no, I don't think they're doing man-ape. I think they're just,
I don't think
they're trying to play things safe.
I don't think they're calling Black Panther man-ape. I don't think that's gonna happen.
Yeah, they don't even want to use the term.
Yeah, it's enough to be a part of the. It's enough to be a part of the guerrilla clan. I don't think they want to step that far.
Yeah,
over,
they don't
so-
want to
That's too
go
much.
down that
That's too
path.
much.
Well,
Like,
but
But
I'm
yeah,
just saying, like,
he
you think
I
he
like,
might go villainous in the future from where he's at?
yeah. So
Okay,
I'm
cool.
okay with. I like what Winston Duke brought to the table. It was he had Riri had a little bit of comedy element, and Baku definitely had a level of. And for
Yeah,
the
they
record,
stepped it
people,
up.
do not call sisters bald headed demons. Don't
Don't
do
do it. Don't do it.
He was
Yeah.
bold enough, but don't do it. I'm like, you know how many women, like, that's the door you're talking to, and ask John Walker. That don't fare well. So I was just like, and he walked away with it. So I'm like, okay. Yeah, don't PSA people, don't call the sisters bald-headed demons at all.
People like
But the
Omar would say
collective
stuff like
men
that.
all said, like, no, don't do it.
No.
Well, we are almost at time. This has been an incredible show. Is there anything that I've missed, that I've left out? Because I mean, we could probably talk about this all night long, but I don't want to miss out on anything that anybody wanted to address before we wrap up.
How
Go
do you
see
guys
it
feel
again.
about Trevor Noah as the AI?
Always
Sure,
a
yeah.
plus. Always a plus.
Oh.
He's got more speaking time.
he got a lot more screen time. Yeah,
I did not know that.
He got a lot more screen time.
I didn't know that
Yeah.
either.
Wait
Yeah, I
a
didn't know that
second.
either.
Trevor Noah was in this?
Yeah, he was
Yeah,
like AI.
yeah, he was the voice of the AI. He was voicing the AI in the first one and this one.
Oh shoot!
What?
Get it, Trevor?
How did I not
So,
know that?
Yeah, so he got a lot more speaking parts this time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
he
sounded
stepped
British
it up.
in this one.
It'd be nice to see a version of the AI kind of,
Do a
Not-
Homer vision kind of
Yeah.
situation.
yeah, you know, like,
Mhm.
okay.
Oh, like a Jarvis type?
Yeah, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But don't go crazy though.
No, yeah, we don't need another Ultron right now.
Yeah, we don't need Ultron. Yeah, we don't need Ultron.
Oof. Yeah. Indeed. Okay. Anything else? No? Good?
Go see the
Okay.
movie again. Go see the movie again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
go see it. Please go see it. Yes.
I might
Show
take
them
my
we can.
family this time.
Please do. Let
Wait,
your kids see
Akil,
this.
Don't leave your kids
now
at
that
home.
you had,
like,
now that you
take
had
the
your
kids to
the
movie.
last sitting partner that you had, you were probably wishing them like, yeah, maybe I should have brought the kids this time.
Okay, I did the same thing. I saw a midnight showing by myself too, like without my kids and wife. So you're good, man. Don't worry about it.
They just not finding out about it. I'm like,
Yeah, they're sitting right next to me. And they hear all about it. All the spoilers.
Oh gosh. Someone said they need to do another Ultron. Real quick story. So everybody is now doing their lists of their, favorite Marvel movies of all time.
Mhm.
And wow, this guy put Ultron like in his top 10. I was like, wow, really, dude? But anyway, that aside, it brings me to ask you guys, we won't do top 10 because that's a lot, but do you have like a top 5 films?
Winter Soldier, Black Panther, and No Way Home.
Oh, okay, top 3.
Yeah, and obviously Black Panther too. And probably Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That movie is so polarizing. People either love it or hate it. So
Yeah.
that's good.
But Winter Soldier is always in the top 5.
Hell
Like,
yeah.
Mhm.
I agree.
It's the superhero film that you didn't realize was a superhero film. It's the thriller. It's the spy thriller, and I'm like, I kind of need more of that, Plus, it was shot here in Cleveland, so that's always a plus.
That helps.
Wow.
That helps big time.
Really? I always
Yeah.
think that they shoot them in Atlanta. Where
Yeah.
they
Falcon Winter Soldier was shot in Atlanta.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
shot in Winter Soldier was shot in Cleveland. As a matter of fact, the scene where Cap is on the bridge and he throws his bike at the aircraft, that was shot. That was on the west side of Cleveland. That's around the corner from our local bookstore.
Okay.
And Chris Evans was there. You should have seen the people that were.
I can't even imagine that.
Oh
Mm-mm.
yeah. I've had
Mm-mm.
that was a moment.
Yeah,
I was on that visit for Infinity War, so it was a moment seeing Chris Evans.
you're just
The
like
sexiest man alive down at the store. Okay.
Yeah, them women did not leave.
Yeah.
They were not leaving.
I bet they were losing their
Yeah.
minds. Boy, I bet they were losing their minds.
They were just like when I got
Chris
down there.
Jamal
I'm like,
Evans.
wow, Christopher Jamal Evans. Exactly. I'm glad I'm not the only one that knows that man's middle name. They just like, no, yeah.
Chris
But
Jamal
yeah, he's it was a dope experience. It really was. That and Avengers was shot in Cleveland, so I was downtown every day when they were shooting that one.
If I had to put a list out there, I would put first is Winter Soldier. Second would probably be the first Captain America. Third, it would. This is. I think I'm stuck. I think that's about
Ragnarok, maybe.
Wow.
No.
You're not, you said you're not much of a Marvel kind of guy. Yeah.
No. Yeah, I try. I do.
No
I
love
try.
for Black Panther, bro? No.
I mean, like, I guess, like, if I have Winter Soldier, I gotta put Black Panther as number 2 because, like, as I said before, they're the same film. So, but yeah, there you go.
Okay.
They're tied. They're tied for number 1.
Okay.
Got a lot of the faces you guys are making right now. he ain't coming
You
back.
did warn us. You did warn us. You said you more DC. You did warn us. You said more DC.
I mean,
Okay,
you know,
what's your top 5 DC?
Yeah, do your top 5 DC.
the new Batman, of course. Dark
Yeah,
Knight.
Everybody, yeah.
Very fair.
I'm one of the few who like 84. I thought 84 was a good film. Zack Snyder's director's cut was a good one, and the new Suicide Squad.
Nice.
I was going to say it was probably the only
Solid
good 5 because the other ones kind of fell flat. Yeah,
pretty.
the other ones.
I would add
What
Wonder
about
Woman.
Aquaman?
I would add.
You want
Wonder
Aquaman
Woman.
fan?
I haven't seen it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I haven't seen
You're
it.
not missing much.
That's what I keep hearing.
You're missing Jason Momoa. I don't know about
I
that.
am missing
I
that.
know.
You're
Akil,
all right.
stop playing, Akil.
I would've
No,
put-
Aquaman was good. Aquaman
He's
was
gonna be
good.
Lobo.
I would have put Man of Steel, but the next snap took me out. I couldn't.
Whoa.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
That's a whole different
Yep.
conversation. I know. That's a whole
Yep.
conversation.
Okay.
That's a different show.
Moving right along. Akil.
Oh, so my top 5 or top 3?
We can do top 3.
Okay, that's a hard one. Number 1 is Infinity War for me. I love seeing the perspective of Thanos, and then the emotional impact at the end, seeing all these Avengers die, and then you have to wait a whole year to get some type of, conclusion to that. Seeing grown men and children cry over Spider-Man, because I saw opening day before any of the spoilers leaked, so I saw these grown men, children, everyone. It was wild. It was the wildest theater experience, was seeing all these grown men and children crying over Spider-Man in the theater. So that's my number 1.
That was a fan service movie, by the way, which is nothing wrong with that, but I get why people always go to it as their favorite because it was just.
I didn't feel like it was fan service. They were murking people, man. They'd have to do Gamora like that. They tossed her.
Oh, yeah, that was disrespectful. That was disrespectful.
I will tell you that in Infinity War, a school friend of mine actually said we had Negro heaven for 3 months and they took a king away from us.
Yep.
It's like, Jesus, you're right. Like Black Panther dropped, and for three months later, we got Infinity War and he was gone. And I'm like, yo, you're not lying.
I feel like that's the reason why like they couldn't recast him, is because of that reason. That's exactly why they couldn't recast him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that was.
I was talking about Homecoming, by the way, Akil, when I said fan service.
I'm not big.
Oh yeah. Homecoming's definitely fan service.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, number 1 is Infinity War. Number 2, I'm a big Captain America fan, so Winter Soldier is my number 2. Number 3 is a toss-up. I really like Civil War for the introduction of Black Panther because I like his swag in that movie more than in the Black Panther movie. I feel like he kind of takes a step back in the Black Panther movie for the supporting characters to shine, but in Civil War he meant business. So I'm gonna go with Infinity War, Winter Soldier, and Civil War as my top 3.
Okay.
Because that was an amazing introduction to Black Panther in that movie.
Right on. I dig it.
All right, Ryan. What about you?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go Black Panther, Thor Ragnarok, I'm gonna go Endgame because it was that Adventure Symbol moment for me. I needed that moment, so I'm gonna go
Waited
Endgame
10
on that
years
one.
for that one.
Yeah, I waited for that one. I was like, I needed that moment.
10 years.
And
finally.
then now I would add on Black Panther Wakanda, but yeah, I want to throw Winter Soldiers in there somewhere. Winter Soldier, I just feel like has to be in the list. That was the one. That was the
I
hitter.
see a lot of people's lists that I see online. They tend to always have Winter Soldier because it's just that
Yeah,
type
you have
of
to throw that
film.
one
It's
in. Yeah,
really good.
Yeah, you have to put that one in there. Yeah.
I notice, and I'm probably gonna get hate for this. Everybody's list always has Endgame, and Endgame to me is a little overrated and wasn't
I agree.
all that.
Second, third
I agree.
third.
I mean, other than the superhero deaths and Thanos, what does that movie got to offer?
Exactly.
So anyway,
Time waste?
so my list is Winter Soldier #1, great spy thriller, Civil War, excellent just between these two great teams, and then I would say Wakanda Forever, and then Black Panther, and then Thor Ragnarok, because that movie just kind of revolutionized that franchise.
Yeah.
And made me
It
laugh.
actually
made Thor funny.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It made Thor funny out
But
of a
then we got
trilogy.
Love and Thunder after that, though.
Oh yeah, well,
So get me
I like the
started.
goats. I got a problem with the goats. No, I got a problem with the goats.
The review scared the hell out of me, so I haven't seen it yet.
all right.
Stay
well,
away.
thank you for
You're not
that.
missing
Let's
nothing.
just say it had promise, and then it just, I don't know.
They tried.
Yeah.
I got theory, and I'll make a TikTok video for that.
I'm looking forward now. I'm looking forward to that one. I'm like, it's probably gonna have it up later tonight.
I'll do it tomorrow just for you guys.
I'm here for it. Like, if you're serious, I'm here for it.
I don't know if Civil War was as overrated as Endgame. I think Endgame was more overrated.
Well,
But
Civil War was good.
Civil War was a great introduction to Black Panther.
To Black Panther.
And it was also a great introduction to Spider-Man.
I thought that was fan service.
And it was an introduction. Wasn't it an introduction to Ant-Man too?
It was an
No.
introduction to Giant Man. That's what it was.
To Giant.
Yeah, Giant Man. Yeah. It just felt like one big movie just to watch like heroes fight against each other. That's what it felt like to me.
Yeah, that's what made it great. That's what made it great. I mean, I guess Endgame, you could say it was all of the heroes fighting against this one big bad.
Now we need an Endgame after Infinity. I was like, come on now. When everybody evaporated, we need an Endgame. They had to do something.
They were like,
Infinity
I'm like,
was
y'all
way
just
better.
ripped everybody's heartstrings at that one. I'm
All
like,
those
God.
tears. Yeah.
Yeah.
I watched grown people cry over Iron Man.
Explaining it to my wife, she's like, "What they gonna do now?" I'm like, "They gotta save them. We just gotta wait.
You gotta save them. You gotta save them."
Rhodey lost his ability to walk in that movie, and people don't even bring that up. They rarely bring that up, man. My
Yes.
guy's a paraplegic because of Civil War.
Because
They
of Civil
rarely
War.
bring that up.
Thank God he got them. Thank God for Tony.
That's
Jesus
another
Christ.
one that
I'm glad
got
he got
pushed
them
back.
braces off of Tony before Tony got wiped out. Jesus.
They pushed back Armor Wars.
Yeah.
When are we getting
Yeah,
that?
Armor Wars got pushed back. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they did. They pushed it back. I don't worry about like stuff that's pushed back because that's kind of the nature of filming.
Yeah.
That's true,
You know,
true.
but it's just
And
the
it's going
fact
to be
that
made into a film as opposed to a series, which is actually
Yeah.
a good thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so you figure because we have so much access now,
Yeah.
you know, we're just like, oh, it's the end of unless it's the New Mutants or something like that. But it's like like you already know. I'm like, good Lord, that's a hard one to watch. I'm like, but
Sheesh.
so and I wanted that one to succeed so well, and I'm like, it was under Fox. What did I expect? So
Yeah, you gotta
As
watch
an
that.
X-Men fan, I am just so offended. I'm just
Yeah,
so
it
offended
was-
by all things that they have done to
Yeah.
my fandom with
I'm
that
like,
team.
there was no love shown to the other than Patrick Stewart, John McAvoy, the
Michael
only
Fassbender,
thing-
I thought he
Michael
did
Fassbender-
great. Magneto.
Mike-
Yeah.
He
Fassbender,
had
my God, yes.
The Phoenix film, the standout scene was his scene on that train. That was this. I was just like, "What'd you think of the Phoenix?" Michael Fassbender on that train. That was it. Like he showed up. He showed up on that train.
Mhm.
So I'm like, you trashed the X-Men franchise on that movie.
Jamie, let me ask you this: like, do you think the MCU is going to do justice to the X-Men property? Do you think they're going to like do it the way that you want to see it at the MCU?
That is my hope. I really, because they at least have been pretty consistent for the most part. Of course, they do their creative liberties thing, but they try to, at least they're inspired by the comics. They try to embrace the stories of the comics. So I'm thinking that they're going to be a little respectful. And then when it comes to casting, they're not going to pull what Fox did with, Halle Berry and Alexandra Shipp, and they're not going to do stuff like that. So I think, under this new under the new studio, they'll probably do a better job.
I'm
That's
scared
fine.
though, because Eternals. Woo.
Yeah.
Taste in my mouth.
That-
Well, that was the thing. It's really hard to get anybody. There's not that many. There's Eternal comic readers, but there's not that many. That
I think it was the director, maybe.
Yeah, because it made it.
And
really,
I love her work.
Yeah, it made it really hard for you to care. Angelina Jolie was the standout.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
And she
yeah.
barely had lines.
Yeah.
She was the standout. And it wasn't because it's Angelina Jolie. It was like when she had her action scenes, boom, she nailed it. Boom, she was done.
They gave her robot dementia. I was like, what is that?
Robot dementia. The beach scene was cool too. So, they got a Nicholas behind on that one. So, but yeah, it was really hard for you to care about the rest of the characters at any rate. It was really hard.
Yeah.
That's my concern with Tony just said there. Like, it's hard to pull that off. It really is.
Yeah.
Unless they really go that route, like Giancarlo Esposito already said it.
Not gonna happen.
Oh yeah,
it's not gonna happen, but it's like
not gonna happen. I don't see MCU do that at all.
You want to see hate?
I mean, that's their whole thing, man.
Wait, clears for days.
Like flip that script. You want to see hate? Let's see how that happens.
You like move over, She-Hulk. You want to see some hate? Here's some hate right here. The fans go crazy. Oh yeah.
But he's such a good villain, though.
He really is.
So he could pull it off, but
it's the calm, collected type of villain that should worry you.
And also, like in the comments, like Xavier is that. So yeah, man.
Yeah, he was like, if you don't, man.
I think Marvel's gonna learn from the mistakes of Eternals and turn with X-Men. I think they'll make that into a better franchise based off of
I believe it.
The flaws that they saw with Eternals. Yeah.
I like what you're saying. You're essentially saying that Eternals is the movie equivalent of the Inhumans. I like that. I like how you're putting that out.
Yeah, that's what I think. Yeah, because that one was woo. That was that's what I think. Yeah.
My kid was watching that my kid was watching that a couple weeks. He's never seen it. And he was watching it. And I walked by the TV and I'm like,
yep.
That wig.
You know how Peter Griffin, you know how Peter Griffin skins his knee. He just like, I'm like, I'll let you. I'm not even gonna bother.
Marvel's never been strong with the television stuff, though.
They haven't. They're learning as far as the streaming services. They're definitely learning. But I have hope in them when they say what we're doing with the X-Men. There's patience involved. They're waiting for a lot of these contracts to expire for the actors who hold some of these roles. And the only reason why they have Patrick Stewart in that film is because it worked with the aesthetic. It worked with the storyline.
Yeah.
The Ralph Boner is coming back.
I was say that. Please don't Ralph Boner me again.
He's coming back for the Agatha show. So, there's that. So when you see that they're waiting and they want to play it right, I'm like, take your time. We want it, but just take your time. That's a very heavy franchise. When Disney bought Fox, the first thing I said was, who's keeping their job? Ryan Reynolds. Reynolds kept his job. They were just like, why will we touch that?
When he carried that franchise. Yeah,
exactly. He was the leak. Mm-hmm. Some people didn't know that he was the leak. That's why I got made. He's
apparently leaving though. I heard that this last Deadpool's he's done.
You never know with Ryan Reynolds. He's good for trolling. he's good for trolling.
He trolled us all with that last little reveal with Hugh Jackman.
God, I'm like, I'm not even mad because it's like it's Ryan Reynolds
and Hugh Jackman. Like, I'm here for it.
I'm definitely here for it. Yeah. Well, cool. This was a great discussion. If you guys can each, we'll start with Akil, D, and then Chris. Give us your social media shout outs where our viewers and listeners can find you and anything else that you want to promote.
I'm not doing any stand-up comedy this month. I'm taking a break this month, so I don't have any upcoming shows. But you can reach me at _Bacchanal, BACCHANAL Bacchanal, and that's on Instagram. That's on TikTok. That's on Facebook. We also have the Bacchanal podcast fan page. You can search for that group in Facebook and join our group page, join the conversation, join the chats. And we also have our email at thebacchanalsquad@gmail.com. You can send us questions or whatever you want us to talk about on our next show. And our podcast is available on all streaming platforms. So just search the Bacchanal podcast and you'll find us.
All right, I am D of FTO Nerd Talk. I got a few podcasts. I have FTO Podcast. It's a weekly recap of the week and news and TV shows that you guys may have missed. I have Table Cheese with my co-host Anton Six of Cheesy Controller. We talk about video game news mostly. I got a few different skits and shows that I have out there, if you want to call it that, on TikTok, like Would You Rather. It's like people I love Would You Rather, but we'll talk about like a Would You Rather, like a certain character doing XYZ or not. I don't have any other real big things coming out pretty soon, but if you keep following my Twitter, my Instagram, like you'll see what I'm doing out there. I may be hitting up the Lag. It's like a get together for cosplayers to hang out at like a very like big dance warehouse kind of spot in a place called Tech and Chill, which is similar to that. I may be hitting those up pretty soon also.
Cool. Nice.
Cool. Chris Fury, host and producer of Blurred's Eye View. We are coming back this Tuesday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch handle Blurred's Eye View 1. You can check us out. That's for season 9, actually. And you can check me out on IG at Blurred's Eye View, BLERDSEYEVIEW. And you'll find the link in the bio. And it'll send you to all the socials. You can listen to us wherever you listen to your podcast. You can also check us out on YouTube, where I do Fury's reacts and reviews. And I put up several reviews for several different things: movies, television, games, comics, and the such. So we will be seeing you Tuesday. And look out, because I hit the ground running for those who watch. I'm a full production. So tune into that. You can also listen to us on Opulence Radio app and iHeartRadio. So yeah, that's the spiel.
Fantastic. We got to bring you guys back. This was such a fun and spirited discussion. And again, like I could talk about this all night long. But I know you guys have lives and you got things to do and it's Sunday. So I'm going to let you go. But thank you so much for coming on the Black Girl Nerds podcast to talk about Black Panther Wakanda Forever. It is currently playing in theaters nationwide. If you guys want to see it again, because I know that everybody that is watching this has already seen it. I hope so.
I hope so.
Like this would have been a mood conversation.
Ramonda, what? Young T'Challa, what? So see it again and again and again. And I look forward to seeing more positive reports from folks on social media about the movie. And again, thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys.
Great.
Bye.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
All right. Take care. Bye.